squad. We're gonna get ya. Chicken and Death Squad coming for ya. Just one court case will never stop us all. Just can't beat the pay from the capital cabal. We're the fastest money, never military. Might think it's overly freaky, but food don't come cheap. Chicken and Death Squad, we're gonna get ya. Chicken and Death Squad, coming for ya. How do you think we get those bananas from the south to your shelf every time of year? Kill the leftists soon as they get elected. They try to do some bitch-ass plan reform like a bunch of queers. You need fiber, so we'll leave no survivors. If that's what it takes to get bananas all the way to Europe and America, Australia, China, the global north of empire, a blood-sucking vampire back. Chicken and Death Squad, we're gonna get ya. Chicken and Death Squad, coming for ya. Chicken and Death Squad, we're gonna get ya. Chicken and Death Squad, coming for ya. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Did it make sense not to live for fun? Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to say. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You never know if you don't go. You never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. All around the world, statues crumble for me. Who Every time I look around, every time I look around, ooh baby, it's making me crazy. Every time I look around, every time I look around, no time to search the world around, 'cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. When I come around, it's good. When I come around, it's good. When I come around, it's I smell sex and candy here. Who's that lounging in my chair? Who's that casting devious stares in my direction? Mama, this surely is a dream. Yeah. Oh, mama, this surely is a dream. Dig it. Yeah, mama, this surely is closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I saw the sign. Open up my eyes, I saw the sign. Life is demanding without understanding. I saw the sign. And it opened up my eyes, I saw the sign. No one's gonna lift you up to get into the light where you belong. But where do you belong? Today was gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. We can live beside the ocean, leave the fire behind, swim out past the breaker, watch the world die. We can live beside the ocean, leave the fire behind, swim out past the breaker, watch the world die. Want to call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you'd like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. And if you wanna buy me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you'd like to talk for hours, just go ahead now. Hey, no, 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 no. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication.
ye workers, from your slumber. Arise, ye prisoners of want. That's right. For reason in revolt now thunder. Chains of hatred, greed, and fear.
It's
Away
AI,
with all your superstitions. Serve our masses. Arise, arise. We'll change henceforth the old tradition and spurn the dust to win the prize. So comrades, come on and rally. Then the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole darn human race. So comrades, come on, let's go rally. And the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole darn human race. No more deluded by reaction. On tyrants only we'll make war. The soldiers too will take strike action. They'll break ranks and fight no more. And if those cannibals keep trying to sacrifice us to their pride, each at the forge must do their duty, and we'll strike while the iron is hot. So comrades, come on, let's go rally. And the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole beautiful human race. So comrades, come on, let's go rally. Ha! And the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole darn human race.
That's quite an intro. Quite an intro. Well, it is good to be back. Yeah, what can I even say? What could I, come on. I don't know. It's it's a wild time to be alive, to say the least. So there's a lot going on in Congress with some bills that have passed one chamber, some bills that are being introduced, just some stuff where Congress is, I think I put it in the title, Congress is gearing up to weaponize anti-Semitism, even more than they have been for the past year. And even before that, I mean, I remember in the past few years, there were some fights about BDS and anti-BDS laws and shit, that were really contentious. I remember, what's her name? Kirsten Gillibrand, not Cinema, Gillibrand. She's from New York. She's a senator from New York. And she's not Cinema. Like, I'm not going to say she's good, but she's not Kirsten Cinema. It's perhaps exemplary of that fact is that she actually caved to constituent pressure not to vote for some, anti-BDS law a couple of years ago. It's ridiculous. I don't know. It's again, with the Israel stuff, it's like, you can have even politicians who are like pretty consistent on, freedom of speech issues. I had a chair falling over. It was the whole thing. They can be pretty, consistent on freedom of speech issues, and then they get to anti-BDS and they're like, yeah, I see no problem with outlawing protest movements. that are not like Nazis. You know, it's like I think the KKK should be banned. You know, I think that um, neo-Nazism, whatever in whatever form it comes, should be banned. I would be totally fine with that because you have to cultivate the society you want. And Americans are a little confused about freedom of speech. I think because they really a lot of Americans fail that paradox of tolerance test. Where they go, but if you ban Nazis, then that's you're banning a political enemy with which is what Nazis do. It's like, yeah, but bro, I'm doing it so that we don't have Nazis. They're doing it so they can kill fucking all sorts of minority groups they don't like. It's different. It's fucking different. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, honestly, that people miss about. I'm all over the place, I know, but just get with it. So people miss about, communist nations, where they'll be like, Castro killed so many people. I was like, okay, who did he kill? Like, I'm not saying that Cuba's government is perfect, and I'm not saying that they're not like a government, a state, a modern nation state. Like, yeah, there's authoritarian tendencies everywhere. Some are necessary, some are not. Some are bad, some are good to neutral, or again, like, necessary. Or just, like, kind of unavoidable in the age of nation states, which is where we are. Sorry. Like, but that being said, like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure there's people like arrested for things that are like a little too harsh, and it's like, there's some issues with that in places like Cuba, China, in the old Soviet Union, whatever. But the thing about it is, like, for the most part, like the horrible violence you hear about from communist countries is largely, and again, you can find exceptions. Like, I don't know, a lot of people died in like Maoist China. I don't know the whole story there, but yeah, it's like, okay, Castro killed people. Who did he kill? He killed fucking Batista government officials, because they were fighting a civil war against a previously democratically elected, but then a dictator installed by the U.S. in Batista, and not in the way that people call Castro a dictator, which he's not really. That's a whole other story. But a real dictator who was, working on behalf of or serving capitalist interests, because why else would the U.S. want him there? As soon as there was some, like, leftist energy in Cuba, the U.S. said, well, time for a little fascism. Sprinkle it on. That's the reality of U.S. Post-Truman Doctrine foreign policy. But yeah, again, it's Cuba. Castro was killing, and Che too, because people really like act like Che is like the big monster there. They were killing, people in the tyrannical government. They were killing fascists. They were killing, far right counter revolutionaries, and it's like, you know, do we want to create socialist states where there's just endless killing because of like, you know, some political tension and shit? Like, no, no, absolutely not. But if um you know, revolutions are messy. That's all I'm going to say on live on Twitch. Revolutions are messy, but also, you know, post-revolution, you have a nation state, and if again far right factions who want to go back to the way things were, where people were starving and dying and enslaved and working for next to nothing, and you know, colonized and all this shit. Like, are socialist states supposed to like allow themselves to be overthrown? Is that just is that the rule? So that's how I feel about that. Yeah, because it is shocking. It's just, sometimes you hear this stuff and it's why, why were they so violent? Like, what was going on in fucking Cuba and Russia and shit? And it's like, bro, look around. Like, the forces they were up against were the forces aligned with American, European imperialism, the Zionist state, um, Nazi Germany, just multinational or international capital, just ravaging the earth. And you know, these are violent fascist groups that we're up against. And you know, the 20th century Marxists understood the threat of fascism, and they understood how to suppress it. But you know, the what I would call the international fascism of the United States and Europe, really, you know, the Nazis lost World War II, but fascism won. NATO, you know, NAFTA and these international trade deals, GATT, the IMF, all this shit. Like, it is so much more brutal and repressive than you realize. And it affects people, you know, in the imperial core of the U.S. It affects people in Canada and Europe. It does, but like the you know, the bulk of the victims are in Africa, South America, Asia, the Middle East, like parts of like Eastern Europe, where we again like drew lines where we felt was appropriate, and we broke up places like Yugoslavia that we just, you know, couldn't have that. The vision never dies. That's what America does. That's what neoliberal global capitalism does. It's a monstrous beast. It's a dragon that needs slaying. If we want to go to like Jordan Peterson parlance, right? Right? Huh? Doesn't the left need a Joe Rogan? Huh? I'll be I'll be the Joe Rogan of the left. Yes, you DMT. But man, but that's what it is. That's what it is. And The 20th century Marxists understood this threat, and that's why they were fucking brutal to the threat. And, here in the imperial core, in the capitalist liberal democracies, we like to think that we're very moral and upstanding and not tyrannical, not authoritarian, whatever the fuck that means. So it's very easy for our governments to point to places where, oh, look how chaotic, look how violent it is over there, and we go, oh, that's terrible, I can't believe, oh my god, communism's terrible, Islam is terrible, right? Whatever, insert culture, like that's what it is. It's just really easy to think that way because that's just the message we get from everywhere, and that's why those of us are who are taking the leftist Joe Rogan track are trying to counter message, and it's hard. Twitch has and I have a larger piece I have a video that I'm working on actually about this that should be out tomorrow. Not just about the Twitch thing, but Twitch changed its rules to explicitly ban the use of the word Zionist as a slur. Right? Hey, new CIA drone pilot, what's up? So they banned the use of Zionist as a slur, which is interesting because, as far as I've seen, no one has used it as a slur. But they said, oh, you can use it in the political sense. You can use it to refer to the political movement of Zionism. I'm like, okay, that's what we've been doing. So it feels like Twitch is just caving to, far right mass reporting and bad faith smears, and this rule change is going to be used as a tool for the right to continue trying to get the left deplatformed on places like Twitch, by making these claims, especially if you make them enough times by enough people. Then it's, oh, okay, well, there must be something to this, or we have to respond, or we're going to be in trouble, or whatever. Like, because the fucking ADL got involved. Richie Torres, New York representative, got involved. It's crazy. It's all bad faith smear bullshit. I don't know what that was. And it's I mean, it's just an excuse to, they're just codifying like the, kind of, legal tricks that they're pulling to, silence the left. So I don't know. We're in for an interesting, 4 years for sure. But after that, who knows what's going to happen? The next decade could be a doozy. Man. But yeah, I have a new video coming out tomorrow talking about, I do reference the Twitch thing. I talk about the Congress adopting the IHRA, International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, definition of anti-Semitism, which includes basically almost any criticism of Israel as a form of anti-Semitism. So that's good. I'm sure that's fine. Nothing bad will come of that. I've become very self conscious about my face recently. Um, I mean, first of all, I look a lot more like my dad now, so there's that. Can't do much about that. That's just the way. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. Um, but yeah, I've noticed I have like a my left eye, like my eyelid droops. First of all, it's like a fairly common thing that like I see with some people. But like, yeah, my left eyelid droops. But I'm realizing that not just now, but my left eye droops. Like my left side of my face is like drooping. It's like lower than the other eye. I, I don't know. I feel like I look like I got punched really hard, or like had a stroke or something. Like what am I? Why am I drooping like this? I don't know if I've always looked like this. Um, so I don't know. I don't know about that. And now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I should just shoot myself from this side. This is my good side. That's what we want, right? Vain leftists, vain socialists. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to just, I, I do a couple hours here every Sunday. Um, uh, we don't have that many people watching, but I think most weeks, at some point we'll have two, three, four. So I'm like, all right, at this is gonna, we've got our loyal followers like new CIA drone pilot who we appreciate so much. Um, and I gotta blast off. Gotta send the link out. That might help. But yeah, we gotta. I guess we just gotta keep at it. Um, and oh my god, I just went on Facebook and saw a video of my friend's hairless cat. Looks looks like a little pig or something. Um, Man, yeah, it just takes time. I mean, look, the YouTube channel is picking up a little, which is exciting. We I've been putting stuff up there for a long time, and I think my growth has not always been as fast as I want it to be, but it's been pretty steady, especially when I keep at it. Um, so uh, yeah, that picked up, and I assume this will too. Just gotta kind of keep going. It's easy to forget, but I've done this many times. I've done this in stand-up comedy. I did it in as a musician. Like, you're gonna play for one, two, three, four people a lot of times before you play for bigger crowds. And again, like, you gotta appreciate your people, however many there are, and you know if that's if right now that's CIA new CIA drone pilot, that's great. Um, but yeah, yeah, the YouTube channel, man. Look, we're getting we're over 1,000 subscribers. We're at 1.02 thousand now. So that's pretty cool. 87 videos, right? So that's what it's taken. Um, yeah, and I was putting stuff up from the stream, which has done, it's been consistent, but it just hasn't done that well. It's like, 30 to 50 views, pretty much, is like the upper limit for that. I don't know what it is. It's probably just like, you know, um, I don't know if people want to watch your stream clips unless they're already fans. So, you know, there's uh, uh, there's a ceiling there until like people are coming back week to week and going like, oh, there's stuff from the stream too, cool. Uh, but yeah, you know, yeah. Yeah, but we're gonna be better about putting up videos on YouTube because like making videos that are meant to be video, like, you know, not the stream stuff. The streams are up there if you want to watch them, but we're going to, you know, make videos again. Was It's the thing is I've been working on a few that are like really big endeavors, and everything's taking longer than you know, expected it to. So that's why this week I've jumped in and you know, I have something a little shorter, little, you know, a little more consumable that's coming out tomorrow. And there should be more soon. I'd like to do, you know, at least one of those a month. One kind of like main video, like the like the videos, you know. And in between, if I have a lyric video to drop or something like that, of course I'll do that too. But the stuff that gets the views, quite honestly, and which is fun to do. I mean, because, you know, it's you know, you got like you push out some videos about like what's going on this week, this month, whatever. And if it starts a conversation, that's cool. I try not to check the comments too much because I get overwhelmed, especially by the negativity when it's there. Yeah. If you go back, one of my first few videos was about this is kind of a long story, but anyway, it was about this video, this like classical music YouTube creator made. And I grew up classically trained on violin and viola. I'm not like talking out of my ass when it comes to music. And I've created and performed and consumed pop music my entire adult life. I have a certificate from Berkeley, not a degree, but I have the equivalent knowledge, so suck my dick. But yeah, this dude was talking about, like, he called it the death of melody. He was talking about how like pop music doesn't have melodies anymore, and his video just sucked. Like it's like, you know, I don't agree with that premise, but like you could make a video, I guess, that like argued this, and you could make a video that argued that, but you'd have, you know, like anything else, you'd have to have a coherent argument and, you know, backing examples and evidence that makes sense, and it just didn't with this dude. So I made this video, like, and I was probably too scathing, and I think that's what people were reacting to. It's like, yeah, my whole attitude was like, "Fuck you, piece of shit." Like, I was a little too me about it. But I was just talking about like there is melody in pop music, even when it's like very simple. It's still melody. And you know, this guy's examples were like either very cherry picked or just bad faith. I mean, like at one point he was talking about Poker Face by Lady Gaga, which it was old at the time. I don't know. like, it's like over a decade old song to be like, pop music today has no melody. And it's like, okay. But he was talking about how that song only has one note. He was going, I want to hold them like they do in Texas, please. Right? That part has one note. And then he cuts it off right before. She goes, Russian roulette is not the same without a gun. And baby, when it's love, if it's not rough, it isn't fun. So, and then the chorus, carry my, no, he can't read my poker face. Like, there's a bunch of notes in that melody. But anyway, people didn't like. People like really got mad about that video. And of course, no one could refute anything. Everyone was just like, no, it is. Pop music sucks. And I just got so overwhelmed with it. I just turned comments off. I was like, bro, like, I've responded to like 20 or 30 people here, and it's not doing any good. But that video has more views than anything else I've put up. So, sometimes you got to piss people off a little bit. All right. So I'm gonna blast off. Live now, covering the end of the world. I'm gonna hit up Twitter. I don't get a lot on Twitter, but that's fine. Oh no. Just as I say that, I have 11 notifications on Twitter. Whenever this happens, whenever I get more than like 2 or 3, I'm like, shit. What did I do? What did I say? Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, this is gold. All right, let's take a look. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. So I don't even remember what this would be responding to, but here's someone saying the Dulles brothers, famous communists, used communism to enforce South American subservience to U.S. communist fruit companies. Oh, wait, this person's probably being sarcastic. Oh, yeah. This person liked my, tweet. Okay. Oh, that makes a lot more sense now that I read it out loud. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is great. So this is Antony Blinken, whatever the fuck his stupid name is. This bitch with his fucking dumbass guitar. Today, we remember the Holodomor. Here we go. Stalin's intentional famine that killed millions of Ukrainians. We reaffirm our support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity as it defends its freedom against Russia's aggression. Then this person, Deutscher J 1776, Germanic Fren. Oh my God. This account has been flagged for promoting satire, hated by the German government for having a sense of humor and promoting German pride. Okay, so this is a Nazi. He says, now tell everyone you're a Bolshevik, just like Stalin was. Antony Blinken, Bolshevik. I said, Bolshevism is when you wage imperialist wars on behalf of private sector corporations. So then my man here says, Dulles brothers, famous communists, used communism to enforce South American subservience to U.S. communist fruit companies. Obviously, being tongue-in-cheek. We love it. Yeah, okay, so this was something, you know, I don't like AFC. I've decided, especially recently, that she's honestly either stupid or she's full of shit. Like she seems to have very bad political instincts, but she also, it might just be that she's, being duplicitous, because that's what it seems. That's kind of the most straightforward reading of what she's been doing lately. So barbarism critics said, I do not think this bodes well for the inside strategy. So let's see what AOC said here. Like one bee's nest, I've been thinking about, one bee's nest I've been thinking about electorally is how we cannot make the case that if an elected takes X position, for example, embargo, it will deliver voters if the left isn't yet able to successfully turn out for politicians who do. The organizing, resources, etc. needs to back up the rhetoric to win. Now, already I'm shaky on this because, do we not turn out for politicians who have the positions we want? Or are we up against, massive funding arms like AIPAC? And that's not an excuse, but it's just saying, okay, let's focus on what the real problem is and, shore up that part of it. The organizing, resources, etc. needs to back up the rhetoric to win. I agree. So, well, we'll get to it because I have my comment over here. She said the progressive left had a very difficult year electorally. We lost several very strong seats in Congress, some of the only voices that stood for Palestinians. Didn't pick up much. Okay. We can reflexively blame others / the system, or we can retool, look inward, figure out where to build, and go next. So, I mean, I'm tempted to say the Democratic Party lost ground. The Democratic Party didn't pick up much. So the problem is that we have a so-called progressive left faction within the Democratic Party, but it's that's, I don't know, it might be asking a little too much of people who are just casual politics enjoyers, casual participants, to make that separation in their mind. Because if people are saying, well, the Democratic Party's failing, it's hard to be like, oh, but me, this Democrat, how about, And then yeah, you're not going to pick it up if you're associated with a party that people fucking hate. So I think that's part of the problem. I really think we need a workers' party. We can reflexively blame others or the system, or we can retool, look inward, figure out where to build, and go next. Yeah, okay. So it's not about reflexively blaming others or the system. Like we should absolutely look at how we can attract more people to our side. But again, I think it would help if we had an official side, like a party. Right? I mean, like if we could run some fucking candidates under PSL or something and gain some seats that way. Then we have somewhere to tell people to go, like, because the way that the Democratic and Republican parties operate. It's, hey, look, what they're doing is bad. What I'm doing is better. Come to our team. We have a banner. We have a name. you know. Anyway, so let's look. Next, she says, this is not to suggest we shouldn't take these stances. We do. But it is to say the opposite. We have a responsibility to take stances that protect human life and grow their power too. She loves to talk about growing power, and I just don't see it, man. Because she does not seem to like coordinate with the other squad members. There doesn't seem to be much cohesion in the Progressive Caucus. So like, miss me with this growing power shit. Not settle for keeping them in obscurity or the margins forever as oppression takes the day. This person said fighting for human rights isn't political, it's ethical. She said, yes, stances are ethical, but if we want change, ethical stances must have power. That is political. I mean, sure, I think she's talking in circles a little bit, but like, so what I said was I looked inward, and it turns out AIPAC spent $100 million to unseat left-leaning Democrats. We need to develop strategies to combat this type of attack materially, not self-flagellate over our policy positions. The left needs to be meaner. That's how I feel. It's, again, let's have our own fucking party. For real, not Green Party, none of this fucking shit. AOCIA is just a small bean barista who interned for Ted Kennedy and went volunteering to Africa like any ordinary work. Yeah, I was a little suspicious when I read into her like work history a bit, which like, I mean, whatever. It's not like the worst thing that she interned for Ted Kennedy when she was younger. Especially if now she's like, well, I'm further left than Ted Kennedy, whatever. But the way that it was presented to us is the way that she was presented to us. I mean, is what you're saying, New Say a Drone Pilot. It was like, yeah, I'm just a bartender. I'm from Puerto Rico. My mother is poor or whatever. And it's like, okay, like I'm not saying like that part of her like life story isn't true. But the fact that she interned for Ted Kennedy, she had some like, I don't even know, some fucking like corporate job at some point. Is like, I think she was kind of gearing up to have like a very corporate career or like, just run of the mill liberal government career. And then she saw an opening and maybe she did change her mind on some stuff and become more left. But like, yeah, it's a little bit too much with the like, the bullshit story. Faith Bad said, until there's an actual asteroid to vote for, it's all blue hearts. Asteroid 2025. Hey, we welcome a little diversity of thought here. I wonder if the asteroid could be part of the left coalition. And yeah, I mean, so when it comes to a party like that, that's one problem that like a lot of my socialist friends will talk about is like, we can't just rely on having like a popular front where we'll have kind of too much of a mixed ideology coalition, the way they did in France with the Popular Front. But also I think it's good that the left Popular Front in France, what they didn't win. They got the second most votes, and it was close, I think, to like the Liberal Party. And that was good. But then like, instead of appointing a leftist coalition prime minister, but the fuck is his name? What's the French president's name? Totally blanking. Whatever. Frenchie there was, instead of appointing a left or even a liberal PM, he appointed like a fascist one, like a far right one. When they got like a distant third or fourth in the election, it was so fucking insane. But what I'm saying is, that's actually good to demonstrate, right? So you have the left run in elections the way that, Lenin recommended. And when power is denied the left, now you have an opportunity to say, look what happens. Liberal democracy is going to talk about freedom and votes and fairness in elections until you win, until the people win, right? Then suddenly it's, oh, no, we can't. We love process and rules until it's the left, right? So when the left, seizes power, we're authoritarians. When the left loses power, we're weak and ineffectual. And when the left wins power within the liberal democratic system, no, we didn't. That's how I fucking look at it. All right. But yeah, so self-flagellate over policy positions. Maybe this wasn't the most fair accusation, but also it's like, okay, what she's doing is at least kind of like hand-wringing about it and being like, well, we have to, make people understand. And it's like, well, yeah, we do. But what we really need to do is figure out how to counter groups like AIPAC that can dump $100 million into elections. And I don't know what that looks like, whether it's like more aggressive fundraising, but we're not going to, we can't get $100 million. So we might have to like do this differently. Is there a more strategic way we can like deploy the left in canvassing and creating events all over the country? And I don't know. There's a conversation to be had, but I'm not out here saying I have the answer. I'm saying like we need to, as the left, fucking figure this out. And I think that she talks a big game about this shit and says build power and all of the whatever, but she's not doing it. I don't know. Like she's not figuring it out. She's not leading anything. So I just want to look at some of the other, to be clear, this is Zay Squirrel. I love Zay Squirrel on Twitter. To be clear, this rhetoric of hiding a move to the right behind fake bullshit, quote, tactical, strategic, four-dimensional chess moves essential for real power talk is just pure, unfiltered neoliberal Tony Blair, Bill Clinton speak. That's why she's called AOC Pelosi. Oh my God. This person, yeah, they write a whole lot. The line in this deranged, rambling mess. This is, this was from an AOC, Instagram Live or whatever. The line from this deranged, rambling mess. They're so harsh. I love it. That all the pseudo radicals are quoting from their cult leader AOC. Quote, we have a moral obligation to be effective in addition to just having a just stance. It's pure liberal centrist rhetoric and self-justification. It's Bill Clinton and Tony Blair, and they're celebrating this as a huge novel thought by their epic-based Yas Queen AOC. For those unaware, The standard ideological justification for liberal centrism when the neoliberals took over the Democrats and Labor was to argue against the left in the parties that, yes, their heart is in the right place, they have the right stance, but they keep losing to the Reagans and Thatchers, so it's pointless to have those stances as you lose anyway. Of course, notice there's zero material analysis of why these elections were lost in the first place. We're seeing that now. And whenever neoliberal centrists lose it, it is never an indictment of their entire ideology of mimicking Republicans and Tories. Then suddenly the "be effective" line drops anyway. That's an astute line. When was this? Okay, August. Yeah, I mean, but it was, really astute because this is exactly what's happening with the postmortems of the election, right? It's all about, we're being too left, and we're, it's too much about appeasing the groups, like all this fucking bullshit. They're purging the left. Like, I just want that to be clear. The Democratic Party strategy this election cycle was to purge the left, and they were hoping that they could, win without the left, and gain enough fucking suburban Republican women or whatever to make up for it, and then win without us, so they could be like, see, we don't need you. The left's been dragging us down. But instead they lost. So they just made the argument anyway, right? It's because Kamala was too strong on trans issues when she couldn't even say they have a right to exist. Yeah. That's exactly it. Again, it's like, I don't think I have all the answers to this, but to me, one of the most effective, I think effective, but again, I'm not like, this wasn't like a deep analysis, but one of the best pro-trans messages I've seen from a Democrat was, ironically, John Fetterman, when he was running, when he was running as a progressive before saying, I never ran as a progressive. Not that, I don't consider myself a progressive. That's not, I don't think that word has a lot of meaning, but like, he had a good ad about it, where he was saying like, I don't know if it was about sports or what, but he was saying, I can't think of anything more un-American than, the serious brain injury. I can't think of anything more un-American than singling people out and excluding them from, all the, institutions and activities that we all enjoy as Americans, whatever the fuck thing. And it was like, it was it's a little bit neutral, but I think it's like, you can say it that way because then you're like, I don't know. I think the way he said it there, if he was not a psycho who then had a brain injury that turned him into a monster, you can say it that way and just be like, guys, I think it's un-American to exclude people and single them out like this. Trans people exist. We know this from science. Like, don't attack them. You can say that, and then you're not like saying anything that like fucking scares suburbanites. You're not saying like yeah, we're gonna have fucking half of every team is gonna be trans, but like like it's because it's not true. That's not how that's never gonna happen. But like, you still leave the door open for, like, you can support every pro-trans thing that comes across your desk, because you'll just be like, guys, I said there's no exclusion, there's no singling people out. So yeah, trans people can compete in sports, because XYZ reasons. It's the, you know, everyone has different advantages. This is not a, you know, I think, you know, a good argument with the trans sports stuff is like, hey, you know what? This is not really something for the government to come down hard on. Like it's actually something that maybe like sports medicine and leagues and coaches and shit and players could figure this out. And honestly, it seems like they kind of have. Like it seems like, you know, in between like the Olympics happening and like the time between stupid like Riley Gaines stories and shit, like no one cares. Like it doesn't cause a problem anywhere. Like there are trans people who compete in sports in some places. There's really not that many. And it seems like most places have kind of figured this out for themselves. It's like when Trump was first running and the bathroom bill bullshit was going on, and he was actually reasonable at the time. He was like, just, I don't know, like everyone uses the bathroom they want at Trump Tower. Like, that's not a problem. So just leave it the way it is. They're so desperate to push this narrative of trans women being a problem in sports that they had to invent a secret trans women scandal over the Algerian. Oh yeah, Emaine Khalifa. Yeah. And even if she, you know, like obviously she has like a big build and she's tall and like you know, there was talk of this. We don't know, but like even if she does have a Y chromosome, it's like, yeah, dude, that exists. That is a thing. There are cis women who are born XXY. Like that's just something that fucking happens sometimes. Like what she can't play sports? She can't compete in sports because she was born too big? Like what the fuck? You know? Again, it's like the I use the Michael Phelps example because he's a freak. He's built like a you know, a whale. He's like a manta ray or some shit. But he gets to compete in sports, and then people are like, yeah, but he's a man. He gets to compete with men. I'm like, right. So this is all about your gendered bullshit. It's not about advantages. That's always what fucking happens. I say, Michael Phelps, and they go, he's got a penis. I'm like, okay, so it's about dicks. That's your fucking problem. You fucking piece of shit. And then, you know, Emaine Khalifa comes along and says, you know, I don't have a dick. And then they're like, it's about gametes. Like, fuck you. Fuck your gametes. I will never forgive these fucking lunatics for making me learn the word gamete. Still don't even know what that means. Yeah, so I think Zay Squirrel is on to the right thing here. And I think AOC is probably like soft pedaling into this Tony Blair, Bill Clinton thing he's talking about. They're talking about? I don't know. Isn't that the perfect encapsulation of what AOC is now and has been for quite some time? And that's also how Tony Blair and Bill Clinton took over their respective parties and made them neoliberal clones of the Republicans and Tories. Yeah. And to this very day, Blairites and Clintonites in both parties use the same line against the left. That's literally the line they used to destroy Bernie and with, and also Corbyn. You can't just have the just feel good stances. You have to be effective. And of course, we, like AOC and her disgusting, vile lies, to cover up for the ongoing Gaza genocide being committed by Genocide Joe and Kamala. Holocaust Harris, I think, is a good one. Are the only ones who know what being effective entails. The anti-imperialist principled left can't possibly be effective, even though its policies have support among the majority of the population and Democrats/Labor voters. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, with a lot of it, it's like, okay, I think there's two things you can say for, left policy, which is, on one hand, a lot of it we haven't tried. but we keep doing your bullshit and it's not working. So why don't we try ours? Then the other argument is, you know what? A lot of this we have fucking tried. It was called the New Deal. And the guy who implemented it was so popular that he won 4 fucking elections and died in office. And then, and then the liberals fucking created term limits for the president because he won too many times. Like, god damn, man. That's why, like, you know, they did a little bit with Biden, and it was pathetic because he was nothing like FDR. I know FDR. You sir, I know FDR. But they brought up FDR a little bit, but like, they almost never talk about FDR, the Democrats, right? Like, FDR should be the Democrats' Reagan, right? But instead, Reagan is the Democrats' Reagan. Fucking Democrats bring up Reagan all the time. They'd be like, Reagan would be fucking appalled to see what the Republican Party has become or whatever. Like, no, he wouldn't. He was a fucking piece of shit. But, you know, the Democrats are not that different from the 80s Republican Party. And they're quite different from the, 30s and 40s Democratic Party. And that's, so they don't bring them up a lot. And that's why. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, like, if Biden wanted to be the next FDR, he could have reintroduced the Economic Bill of Rights, right? They're to the right of Reagan on Israel migration. Yeah, absolutely. The I think it's the Republican primary debate from like 1980, and it was I don't know if there were more candidates before, but it was down to Bush and Reagan, and obviously Bush ended up being the VP and then the president after Reagan, but they were talking about immigration, and they largely agreed with each other, and they were like, the way they talked about it was like so much more like amenable to immigrants. They were talking about like naturalizing more people, and how like it's a little it is like a little fucked up when it's like, they help our economy by doing low wage work. Like, okay, well, it shouldn't be so low wage work, but that is like, the liberal line. But also, yeah, I mean, they wanted to naturalize more people, and Reagan did give amnesty to some like notable number of migrant workers. But people want to like, people just want to hyper focus on like the misdemeanor of crossing the border to request asylum. And it's like, it's so fucking stupid, man. Like, yeah, it's technically a misdemeanor to cross the border, but like to step over the border without like going through a checkpoint or whatever. But it's like, okay, if you're escaping like drug gangs in Guatemala and you finally get to the border and you're not, sorry, I couldn't find like one of the main entry points. I was fleeing the fucking death squads of Colombia, you asshole. I'm exhausted from walking like 2,000 miles through jungle and desert. And so you step over the border and say, hey, would like asylum, please? And then we're supposed to be like pissed off about that. Like, what? Why? I don't know if people get it. It's like, okay, so there was like the Ellis Island system back in the day. That's how my family came through, at least the Italian side. This was my great great grandparents and my great grandparents as were kids, and so like the families came over in most cases, I think, but so they were on a fucking boat from Sicily, okay, and then so what happens when they go to come through Ellis Island? Well, the boat had to enter New York Harbor. So my great and great great grandparents illegally crossed the border so they could get to fucking Ellis Island. How are they supposed to get there, man? Like, were they supposed to call? Supposed to make a call from the phone I'm sure they had on their olive farm in like 1912. Come on. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. And Democrats have just fucking abandoned immigrants. It's just disgusting. AOC won't demand that her fave epic Zionist genocide queen calls for an arms embargo to actually get a permanent ceasefire, even though it is widely popular among the Dem base and has majority support among the broader public, even though that means being effective. Because, right, that entire line is just a cover for laundering genocidal right-wing neoliberalism in the hands of liberals and now also AOC. All right. So I have a couple of clips actually, because I pulled these for oh shit. No, I'll just have to pull up the videos. But yeah, I pulled these for the video I'm working on. So the AOC's DNC speech, it's just a little part of it. Like, oh my God, this is her Obama 2004 moment.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's take it down a notch. Thank you for your vision. Congress in America. I'm here tonight. Okay. She understands rent checks and groceries and prescriptions. Yeah, okay. So I think we all remember what she said, right? Working tirelessly.
And she is working tirelessly to secure a ceasefire in Gaza and bringing hostages home. In Kamala Harris, I see a leader who understands.
Like, I don't know. It's one thing to do the speech, but she puts on this all-in act and says this working tirelessly for a ceasefire thing. Makes a point to say that, you know? And then, see if I can find this. So, there was a video of her being interviewed by an activist, I think maybe a city council member in New York. God damn it. Might have been on TikTok. Sorry, I'm boomering out. Trying to find this stupid thing. Okay. AOC. DNC interview. Let's see. There we go.
Neither party's official platform, in my opinion, is good on Palestine. I don't think either party right now is doing justice to Palestinians. That doesn't...
Oh, interesting. When she's fucking backstage and talking to an activist who she knows wants to hear this, suddenly, oh yeah, it's not, no, neither party's doing justice to Palestinians. And look at this. Comment sections are not like evidence, but no, they're the same. How much AIPAC give you, AOC? Right? Too late. True, too late. Problem is this. Politicians have strong-armed this democracy to the point where what they say goes and the citizens elected them have no say. Right? I'm not voting. Jill Stein, empty attempt. AOC, we need to just ignore this genocide because we're too busy with... Yeah. I mean, that's what the rest of this is. So I think, she reveals herself right away.
Neither party's official platform, in my opinion, is good on Palestine. I don't think either party right now is doing justice to Palestinians.
Right? So that's very different from working tirelessly for a ceasefire, which she said either right before or right after this. Right? So, okay. Already it's like, yeah, you have no fucking idea of what you're doing.
That doesn't mean that they're the same. I think that a Donald Trump presidency would be...
Okay. Doesn't mean they're the same.
Absolutely catastrophic. I mean, he's coming out here saying finish the job of a genocide.
Right. Yeah, he's saying finish the job. The Democrats are politely allowing them to finish the job, but not saying it, because that's ugly, that's mean, that's rude.
There's a lot of people with our politics that are having a hard time getting there in terms of supporting Kamala Harris. How do you think we help them get there in November to beat Trump?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, first of all, it's important to emphasize how valid it is.
Oh my God. Like, I fucking hate this shit. Like, don't even say that. Don't even say your feelings are valid. Because I don't fucking care if you think that. That means nothing. It does nothing. And it's just it's a stalling tactic. It's a bullshit tactic, and it just doesn't fucking mean anything. Because she's about to just tell these people to look past those feelings.
We're looking at over 40,000 Palestinians that have died under Israeli bombardment, and the current U.S. administration has been continued to provide weapons to Israel that have been dropping on innocent Gazans.
Oh, I thought they were working tirelessly for a ceasefire. What happened? Did something change in the one day between giving this interview and giving the speech?
To me, when I process this, I weigh through all of the people living under extreme levels of oppression, especially outside of places even like New York. I think about the women that are bleeding out in ER rooms because they live in red states. I think about trans kids that are living in places where their entire families are trying to figure out if they need to pack up their entire lives and move somewhere else. We have to hold all of those things at once. And so to me, the conclusion that I've come to is having more people suffer to put on top of the already horrific suffering that's going on in Gaza is not something that I think I'm comfortable with. Neither party's official platform.
Great. Great. Like, what a great performance. Gotta fucking love that shit. Oh, man. AOC's sole purpose in life is to ensure that she can become senator and then run for president and then write her name in history as the first epic-based Yas Queen Latinx president. It's all she cares about, and she will do anything. She will launder a genocide to get there. That is how vile she is as a human being, how depraved she is. Yeah, see, it's just, like, I don't know if... I understand what AOC's, trying to do. Again, if she's trying to do it, maybe she is just a charlatan, and I need to, admit that. But, like, I get it if she's like, well, I'm going to support the party so that I maintain the power I have in the party, and I, don't push away too many constituents who might support Israel. But I do want to acknowledge this and say that we're not doing enough and we need to stop sending weapons. Like, and it's like, I'm sorry, you get no points for doing that. None. Like, as far as AIPAC is concerned, AOC is no different from me on on Israel, right? And clearly, as far as the left is concerned, she's no different from Kamala Harris on it. It's just, you can argue about like who's right, and maybe like, is she lying one way or the other? I think probably, but like, the point is that riding the fence is not doing her any favors. It's not. So either be Nancy Pelosi Jr., if that's what you want to do, or be a leftist disruptor. Like, yeah, there's the old interview of her right after winning, where she said, I'd rather be a one-term congressperson than sell out. And I don't know, it seems like she's selling out. And I'm sure now she would say, like, but you can't build power if you only have one term. And I'm like, okay, are we building power, or are you just getting crushed under the machine that you can't seem to fight from the inside? Because if we want to fight it, like, you have to be clear in your messaging, first of all. And then if we're going to build power, we have to do that. And I don't know if we're ever going to be permitted to in the Democratic Party. I just don't think I don't think that wall is ever going to come down. There's a problem for AOC and other depraved pseudo-radical liars like her who are laundering the ongoing Gaza genocide to advance their personal political careers. No matter what they say, this is a truism and the only way to actually be effective. And this is the Lawrence O'Donnell. I'll play it.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking. You must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party, because the left had nowhere to go. If you want to...
There you go. But we can't even muster the ideological discipline, the democratic movement to withhold our votes in an organized way, right? Or threaten to withhold. Like, come on. Like, if we got the DSA to endorse, like, withholding our votes for Gaza, that's huge. Like, this is a tens of thousands of member organization that would be threatening not to vote for the Democratic Party, which they tend to do. But it was just too scattered, and they, organizations are too scared to say, guys, if the Democrats don't do X, Y, and Z, we will not vote for them. But what better way to actually, move the needle than to say, hey, we're gonna yank on the needle. We're not gonna let you put the needle where you want to, unless you fucking listen to us. And I thought it was pathetic when the DSA came out when Tim Walz was picked and said, this is a sign that, we have power within the Democratic Party. Like, come on, man. Come on. It's ridiculous. They picked Tim Walz because they liked him. And, he would get them the Midwest, they thought. And yeah, they would get he would get them the Midwest, and he would, maybe attract some leftists. But they immediately just watered down everything that was cool about Tim Walz. So let's not kid ourselves. And that's what I think is happening here. I think DSA, I think AOC, I think a lot of acronyms are kidding themselves. All right. So I'm gonna have to get up and stretch soon. I think we'll wrap it up in 20 minutes or so. What the hell? Why are socialism's biggest proponents always shitty artists? I said, you tell them, bro. And this is his picture. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy boy. Okay. I'm not going to follow an 18-year-old on Twitter. What the fuck? I love shit. Like, this is what Twitter's just, it's a cesspool. Sometimes it's great. All right, so they're saying that the Hunger Games is socialism. This, whatever the fuck this is, I don't know. Is that like cyberpunk or What's that fucking Harrison Ford movie? The androids? I don't know. Theocracy is Handmaid's Tale. Feudalism is Dune. What? The 4 types of dystopia. So what do they like? $40K. Dune is not dystopian at all. It has nothing in common with other dystopian movies. Really? Hunger Games equals starvation equals socialism. Truth nuke. Socialism is when no food. The system in Hunger Games is literally socialism. It's a centrally planned economy. Why? Because the capital is in the center of the fucking districts? It's not. The capital has a capitalist economy, while the other districts don't have an economy and are completely controlled as a farm or property. Yep. Yeah, that's capitalism. Maybe even like a feudalist formation is absolutely not. Just because there's luxury doesn't mean it's capitalist. Government bureaucrats of the capital exert centralized control over the entire economy and exploit it. That's how they get their luxury. What? Why? So anything that's central power, where there's any centralized power at all, is socialism. What the fuck? Okay. No, I'm serious. If you watched or read Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, you'd know the capital is capitalist with things like rent, and there's a poor class in the capital. The districts don't have economies because of the punishment they received. I mean, that's silly. Like, even if there's just like a small kind of mercantile markets, like literally markets where you walk around and buy wares, like that is an economy. Like, it's not, yeah, I mean, it's not like a large, robust, complex economy, but it's just, I don't know about, like, I wouldn't argue places don't have economies. I'll tell you how the Hunger Games are socialism. The fucking resistance is socialism. Like, and apparently, I haven't seen all of them. I haven't read any of them, but I haven't seen all of them yet. But I watched one with my wife. I'm now watching them to actually make a video about it, because I see people being like, we're about to be in the Hunger Games with Trump or whatever. Like, oh my God, shut up. So I want to actually explore like the socioeconomic realities of Hunger Games. But this is, oh my God. Just because there's a wealth disparity and some elements of markets, it doesn't mean it's capitalist. The economy is just how resources are distributed. Saying they have no economy is saying no resources are distributed. Yeah. It's centrally planned by the, yeah, great. They aren't allowed to trade, but that doesn't mean, yeah, I mean, like, the districts are part of the economy of Pan Am, for which the capital is the capital. I'm just pouring water. I'm not pissing in my chair. All right. Oh my God. Isn't Hunger Games just capitalism with extra steps? I mean, I guess it is kind of feudalist, because like apparently I mean, look, it's an allegory too that you have to keep in mind. But like, the different districts all specialize in like producing different different commodities. So like I don't know, I think District 12 is the most remote one, and they do like flour or lumber or something, it's like whatever it is. And the districts have kind of gradations of wealth disparity. So like District 1 and 2 are the closest to the capital and are the richest of the districts. Not rich like the capital, but maybe you'd call them the upper middle class, or the professional managerial class. Which exist here right now in capitalism. Yeah, capitalism with extra steps, I guess. I mean, it's really just kind of feudalist. Yeah, it's just capitalism. It's more like feudalism with extra steps. Nothing extra except a little bit more technology. Yeah, it's weird. It's like Star Wars. It's very, very Star Warsian, where they have like, hovercrafts and like, airships and shit. But I mean, not in the poor districts. They don't have like, I don't know if they even have like electricity or running water and shit. But anyway, yeah, no, the author's intentions were to portray Panem as capitalism, to depict an allegorical version of the wealth disparity under capitalism. And what happens in so the one I watched with my wife was Mockingjay Part 1. That's the third movie. And that one is about the resistance. And it's like a real look at like a socialist left-wing resistance. Like the guy that Philip Seymour Hoffman plays is so like gung-ho, and he loves like explaining theory and shit, and like as soon as he came on screen and started talking, I was like, I know like five dudes like this at least. And Julianne Moore, is that her fucking name? I think is the like the head of the resistance. And I think in Mockingjay Part 2, apparently there's some they try to show how sometimes left revolutions go wrong, and like there's abuse of power and whatever. So that's kind of interesting too. But it's like it's very clear cut. It's so like like how much you can't even do like an allegory that's like barely an allegory. Panem is just North America. It's literally North America. I think in like a few hundred years or something after the fall of the U.S. And it's literally capitalism, and then the resistance is literally socialism, and people are like, that's socialism. The capital, it's in the middle, so it's central, so it's socialism. If there's ever as anything in a center, it's socialism. Yep. Atlantis was socialist because they had that the circles going out. And they had the thing in the middle. That's socialism. Omaha, Nebraska is socialist because it's in the middle. It's in the middle of the U.S. That's socialism. So fucking stupid, man. There's no food. That's socialism. They ain't got no food. That's socialism. People like lived their lives. They were born, like lived a full life and died in the Soviet Union. And people are like, there's no food. There was never any food for 70 years. Never happened. Not one bit of food. Like, what? How the fuck are there people, man? People had whole ass fucking careers, families. Fulfilling lives in a lot of cases. No. No food. Yeah, it's just how fucking blatant do you have to be? Like, I want to take the interview where it's, for some reason it's James. I'm blanking on people's names and shit today. Titanic guy. Aliens, Terminator 2. Whatever his name is. The director. Interviewing George Lucas about when he first made Star Wars. And George Lucas very blatantly says, I envisioned the Rebel Alliance as the Viet Cong and the Empire as the U.S. That's the dynamic. It's about heroic communists beating the evil empire of the U.S. You want me to say it again? And it's like, that can exist out there in the world, and you can tell people, and then people are still like, no, nope, the Empire's socialist. The Death Star's in the middle. It's in the middle of the galaxy. It's socialist. It's in the center. Center means socialist. So being a centrist is actually the most socialist you can be. I'm not some political theorist, but I feel like dictatorship or colonial dictatorship makes more sense. I get that the labels like dictatorship and democracy are not the same category as capitalism or socialism, but that's the sense I get. Oligarchy, maybe? Benin is fascist dictatorship. District 13, that's the resistance, is a communist dictatorship. Awesome. It's deaf feudalism. I mean, yeah, maybe. No, the capital literally controls all the production from the districts. There is no freedom of the market. The closest there is to an actual capitalist market in Hunger Games is the black market. Stop. But that's because you're reading each district as if it were a state, when in fact the logic is much more based on imperialism or in colonialism, or even the logic of class struggle. Yeah. Imperialist capitalist colonies still have free markets. Hunger Games is state capitalism like the USSR. Which, by the way, was also a colonial empire. No, it was not. Free market does not exist. Well, nothing is perfectly free. Sorry. Well, nothing is perfectly free, but if you're going to be this pedantic, then nothing really exists because nothing truly satisfies that by which it is defined by. Shut up. What the fuck? What are we in a dorm room? Free market is the antithesis of capitalism and imperialism. True. How so? Free market is a utopia and directly collides with the monopoly of force based on the logic of wealth accumulation. Oh my God, this guy's fucking spitting. Finally, someone. If there is a bourgeoisie, there is no free market because there will always be someone dictating the rules based on their capital. I don't even need to say anything about imperialism. The mere existence of commercial, cultural, and economic domination over a foreign entity is inherently anti-free market. Then this person said, if a particular empire absorbs a foreign entity into its fold, the mere act of doing so does not in any way, shape, or form change the nature of supply and demand mechanism that the free market is built upon. So he says, no. Let's take a specific example. Brazil had a thriving film industry, self-sustainable, and took millions of spectators to the cinema to see national content. Do you have any idea how this was destroyed? This person says, it doesn't matter. All you're saying there is that a particular entity was denied from participating in the supply and demand dynamic of the market. But the market itself is still built on supply and demand. You should ask your commie professor for a refund. He says, you chose to ignore the question. I answer. The United States destroyed Brazilian cinema. They destroyed the industry in the same way that they destroyed the country's industrialization, including financing a military coup d'etat so that the interests of its bourgeoisie were met. Supply and demand are not created by the wind. They are constructions that serve certain interests. And that, in itself, is the antithesis of the idea of a free market. Yeah. The market is not free. It is controlled, and demand does not exist. It is created. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. Right. I mean, you by creating like nation states, you create like a certain, concentrated demand of like housing and food and whatever. They said supply and demand is created by supply and demand. Oh my God. These people like they cannot look at the real world. There's no materialist thinking in capitalist economics. It's just fucking theoretical bullshit. It's magical thinking. It's utopian, like someone said. But the idiot said supply and demand is created by supply and demand. Sometimes those who are more powerful are sometimes those who are more powerful. Sometimes those who are more powerful are able to manipulate the supply and demand. Sometimes. But they can only do that because the mechanic of supply and demand exists in the first place. Ask your commie professor for a refund, bro. Sometimes. I want to cut to... There's a great clip. Oh, yeah. Thanks for watching. NCDP. Okay. Thanks for being here as always. But I want to cut to. There's a great clip of William Shatner on the old Star Trek, where he's talking to this. If people have seen it, it's like what was it called? Miri. And he's talking to Miri. This is a young girl. She's one of the older ones on this planet where all the adults have died. She's like 12 or 13 or something. And there's like a disease or some shit that gets everyone who turns 13 or 14 or whatever. And it killed all the adults. And you just have like these roving bands of kids. And, you know, Kirk was trying to like get her to understand what was going on. He's like, this is what's happening. This is why, you know, this happens to all the adults. And she was like, well, sometimes it happens. And he's like, he was insane on the show. He grabs her by the shoulders, and he shakes her, and he's like, not sometimes, all the times. That's what I want to do when people say shit like this. Like, sometimes those who are more powerful are able to manipulate supply and demand. No, not sometimes, all the times. That's just how it works. And then third person says, being unable to engage with even remotely nuanced argument doesn't put you in a good position to tell someone to ask your professor for a refund. They said, that's ironic because I'm not the one stating that there is no such thing as free market because it's not 100% perfectly free. And the third person, if a market requires some number of supports / regulations to function, the quintessential laissez-faire pro-capitalist completely falters. The idea that a completely free market exists / can exist is central to capitalist ideology. It's very meaningful to note that this isn't true. How does a quintessential laissez-faire pro-capitalist completely falter because of supports / regulations? Because the market can't exist on its own. Laissez-faire, pro-capitalist, quintessential laissez-faire means total free market. Right? This at least has to be theoretically possible. But it's not. Because how do you enforce contracts? How do you enforce property law? How do you fucking do any of this? This is why, like, this person's leaning towards like ANCAP, like a narco-capitalist, which is just nonsense. It's libertarianism. It's just you can't function that way. You can never have a market that functions that way because someone will always have more power and be able to manipulate supply and demand. That's why, I mean, I don't even like super believe in like anarcho-communism. Like I think maybe one day, maybe like in the distant future, I just don't know how that happens. But, you know, I mean, Marx and Lenin seem to think it would happen, but I don't know. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks to those who were here, and